Today's announcement of the main cluster locations for sport and cultural events is an indication that planning is proceeding and that their games are drawing closer. In only 3 short years, we will welcome young athletes from across the Americas to this wonderful part of our great country.
I take my responsibility to oversee the Pan Am project, its fiscal issues, its budget and plans very seriously. And having said that, I'm pleased to announce approval of the revisions made to the Pan Am budget.
Now, I'm here to reveal the footprint, so let's look at that map. As the map comes up, I want to talk about 3 things we're looking to do with this venue footprint. Firstly, we're maintaining regionality. We think that making sure that every region has a passion and an ownership and involvement is so important for what these games can be. So regionality remains an important underpinning of these games. Secondly, you've heard a number of times over the last couple of months, we're driving clustering as a fundamental approach to our games. Clustering does a number of things which we think are all very good. First, it makes our footprint a lot simpler, which means we can move people in a much simpler way. Secondly, it scales up our efforts. It makes it more cost-effective. Number 3, by bringing clusters together, you give spectators a much richer set of options for how many sports they want to see. So when you look at it, clustering is a major intervention from our perspective that results in a better games, a simpler games, a more cost-effective games, and a better games for both the athlete and the spectator as well. As we look at our guiding principles, we built from the bid book, and we said we need to make this better. We need to evolve it. And as we did that, the clustering helped drive a number of important changes. As you look at clustering, we've moved from 5 clusters to 8, increasing the scale of the games. Accordingly, what you also see is a number of standalone venues. The number of standalone venues decreases from 26 to 10. Fundamentally, every time you have a standalone venue, that drives complexity. By dropping them from 26 to 10, we sweat our assets more and we make it a simpler games to execute. Now, we've talked a lot about clustering. What I want to do is bring that alive by talking about Pan Am Park. Pan Am Park is going to be the heart of Toronto 2015. It is, in fact, our largest cluster located at the historic Exhibition Park in Toronto, a short hop from Athletes Village in the West Don Lands. There we'll have 12 sports, and in no doubt this will be action central from a sporting standpoint, giving spectators tremendous sets of options for them to enjoy the sporting side of the games. But Pan Am Park will be action central from a cultural standpoint as well. We expect people to have the opportunity to listen to live music, to enjoy the food of the region, to meet athletes from the region. We like to think in terms of, from a goal standpoint, that after walking through the entrance of Pan Am Park, a husband and a wife will turn to each other and they will say, we've just got our money's worth and we haven't even seen the sport yet. And we think that's what the power we get when we combine sports with culture. Next, moving around the cluster footprint, we have U of T, the downtown cluster. It will be home to 3 sports: field hockey in a newly built field hockey center, handball, and artistic roller sports, which will be held at Goldring Center. Moving east, as we move east around the footprint, we want to make a stop at the CIBC Pan and Pan American Games Athletes Village. This is a provincially funded project, but it really does underscore the triggering event that our games can be, taking an area which was a brownfield and making it be a vibrant community center right downtown for the years to come. Construction of the village is already underway. Moving east on the footprint, we come to the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. It will be home to swimming, diving, and modern pentathlon, as well as fencing. This venue will be our largest single build and a great legacy facility, serving the needs of the growing U of T campus in Scarborough and filling a major facility gap that exists in Scarborough, providing for a healthy, active living for a host and generations to come. There'll be more news on this facility forthcoming. The building site is already ready to go, remediated and ready on time and on budget. And if you drive down Morningside, you'll see this gigantic hole to the east, and we call that the most beautiful hole in the whole of GTA, as holes go. Construction for that will start in July 2010, and that will be ready for test events in 2014. Moving to the north, I come to Markham in the Markham cluster, also one of our new builds. It'll be home to water polo, badminton, and table tennis during the games time. Markham is incredibly enthusiastic about the coming of the Pan Am Games to that community, and they have truly been a great partner as we've developed this venue. I have no doubt that Markham, with this partnership, will be a very exciting place to be. That new venue was beginning construction in July and will also be ready in 2014. Sliding to the west, we have the York University cluster, home to tennis and athletics. Tennis will use the world-class facility at York, while athletics is a new build, a new stadium being constructed, which will complement our existing indoor track and field training facility. Again, construction starts in the fall of 2010. It will be also ready in 2014. Moving to the west and the south, getting closer to the mayor's territory, we've got the Etobicoke cluster. At its Centennial Park, we'll have BMX and archery. Nearby, we'll have bowling. We also have the Olympium, and it's important to note the Olympium is a training facility, but because of the Pan Am Games, we're investing to renovate that facility. It was built in 1975, hasn't had a major renovation since, and because of the Games, while it's a training facility, that will be brought up to snuff and be a fantastic facility, once again serving future generations like it has so well served the past. It's a great example of Pan Am legacy building in action. Moving to the west, we're in Mississauga, in the Mississauga cluster. We're calling that our combative sports cluster, home to wrestling, taekwondo, judo, and karate. It is a great example in our minds of using an existing facility and really repurposing it with creative use. It'll be a great and exciting place to be, and I think one of the safest places to be during the games. So that's the clusters, big centers, all with multiple sports, giving us great simplicity and a great spectator as well as athletes experience. But there's more to it than that. So let me have a look now at, from a regional perspective. We have a number of standalone venues which allow us to get the communities engaged as well as providing unique facilities for important sports. Let me take a look at them. Starting with Welland, the International Flatwater Center for canoe kayak sprints. Moving on, we have St. Catharines of Royal Henley, which will be the site of rowing, a world-class center. Next, we have Hamilton. We call that Soccer Central. It is a new build, and it marks the closing of a circle in that we are replacing Ivor Wynne Stadium, which was built for the very last time we had a multi-sport games in this region, which is the Empire Games in 1930. Moving to the north is Milton and the Milton Velodrome for track cycling. It is also a new build. It will be the home for Canadian cycling. Right now, our Canadian cyclists have to train in Carson, California. They'll be able to train right here in Canada. Not only that, though, Milton is using this as a community center, and for them, it serves the growing needs of that growing population. A great example of building versatility into our venues to ensure that they have sustaining legacy well beyond the games themselves. Moving on, we have the Caledon Equestrian Park for equestrian. This is a home to the Pan Am 2007 Pan Am Trials and recommended by the Equestrian Federation Hartley as the best site for equestrian in Ontario. Moving north to Oro-Medonte, we have mountain biking. Beyond that, in Minden, we have slalom, canoe, and kayak at one of the few natural courses in North America and a favorite for the athletes. South, we go to Oshawa, where we have boxing. Moving on, back to the city, we've got the Royal Canadian Yacht Club for sailing. Finally, we have the Peter Gilgan Athletic Center for basketball. This is located at the historic Maple Leaf Gardens, Toronto's hockey shrine, which is now turned into the Ryerson Athletic Center. That will be a fantastic venue for both men's and women's basketball in 2015. Now, we do have a few things left to do. We are finalizing the homes for 4 sports: golf, shooting, baseball, and softball. But work is well underway on them, and we expect to have final decisions this summer. We also see the Para Games, the Pan American Games, as a very important part of our games. We'll have a separate announcement for them before the start of the summertime, where we can give them their full time they justly deserve. I am constantly being impacted by how inspiring those athletes can be for us as we think of our own challenges, and we're looking forward to setting a new benchmark for what the Parapan Games can be in Toronto in 2015. I do want to touch on the budget. A copy of the budget details are in your media kit, breaking down the capital and the operating and spends by year in building blocks. So I won't go through that in great detail, but I will say 2 things. We are committed to living within this budget, and we believe we can put on a great event for this budget. Secondly, we're committed to being transparent and open in everything we do, and we'll be providing regular updates on our progress from a budget perspective as we move forward with these games. So, there you have it, the game's footprint. In closing, I'd like to say a number of things. We have 3 years to go. In my office, we like to call it 165 weeks. But who's counting? We are in great shape, and we're excited about being able to deliver a fantastic spectator and sport experience in July 2015 to Southern Ontario. The TO 2015 team, and I speak on all my team, is absolutely thrilled to provide Canadian athletes with the chance to compete at home, a chance to compete in front of family, friends, and a hometown crowd. Thank you.